If you manifested something bad, is it your fault? No. Something's come to my attention in the last day from some of my followers that some criticism of me is happening online, and I haven't gone and engaged in it, looked at it, watched it, read it, because I don't engage with bad news out in my 3D. I don't watch the news. So if there's bad news about me, I don't want to know about it. But I just wanted to clarify a few things about me and about what manifestation really is and what I teach. A lot of people are very triggered by me. Now, where's that coming from? You'll probably say it's because I yell. It's because you scream at people. It's because you use swear words. Do you know it's not actually that? You know it's because I cause that. Because I have a deep core belief that I upset people. And do you know where I'm getting that from? Because when I was a child, I upset my mum a lot. And I used to get screamed at, like I scream at you in videos. And you know where I'm getting that from? The belief that I upset people, because my brother used to get screamed at too, and he doesn't have that belief. It's because I have a deep core belief that there's something wrong with me. Now, where am I getting that from? I was born with something wrong with me. So I have a deep core belief that I'm wrong. I do things wrong. Therefore, I'll upset people. Therefore, things will go wrong for me. And therefore, things will fuck up. And people will get triggered or pull away or be upset with me. And then guess what happens? YouTubers get upset with me, or other TikTokers block me, or people in the comments get triggered. That's my belief. Can you see it? How I cause that? I'm causing it. Now, also when you get triggered by me yelling, that's also your own trigger. When I say the word trigger, guys, do some of you understand what I mean by the word trigger? And I'm not talking about it as in you are sensitive, oversensitive. Think about it in the logical, psychological explanation way that a trigger is an emotional response to a stimulus you heard or saw or experienced. So I stimulate you into an emotional reaction because of the way I yelled or what I said, or the fact that I asked you to investigate your childhood, which you don't want to face, and therefore you are triggered by me, and I give you an emotional response, and therefore you feel the need to write a comment or get upset. That's a trigger. And a lot of people are triggered by what I have to say because they don't actually want to face themselves. My whole account is about facing yourself. And you know the reason why I made this account is because I listened to so many other manifestation coaches. I'd gone through a shit ton of therapy, and nothing I was doing worked until I realized that I am the only cause. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's what Neville Goddard teaches. It's the cornerstone of all law of assumption teachings, that what you dominantly assume will manifest, whether it's good or bad. Now, if you understand that, you will understand that you're the only cause, and you're not going to blame yourself or flagellate yourself or say things are your fault. And if I've ever said that word, it's come out accidentally, and I've never meant to say that, okay? Sometimes in the heat of the moment in lives, I will say words that now I look back and I think I shouldn't have said that. Or someone will ask me about a coach and I think I don't really want to talk about a coach, or because it sounds like criticism. I'm never criticizing. If people are confused and they come to my account, I'm trying to undo the confusion about what they've heard by another coach or whatever, okay? So I'm never, ever, ever saying bad things about other coaches, just so you understand, unless they're a moron, okay? And there are some morons, but the teachers I recommend, and they're always the same teachers, I have huge respect for, okay? What I need you guys to understand is, if you truly understand this, that you are the only cause, your whole life will change. And what does that mean, you are the only cause? It doesn't mean beating yourself up. It doesn't mean flagellating yourself. It doesn't mean taking blame. It means investigating how you caused the manifestation that's now in front of your eyeballs. Okay? Now, a video I did recently, a girl had come to me. She had written a question in a forum on our Facebook page. I had asked her if she wanted me to answer it in a video, on a live. And she said yes. Now, I was really moved by this question in particular because it was very similar to my story. I had been in relationships similar to hers, not a baby mama type situation, but an addiction kind of relationship where the person was addicted. And I've had a few of those relationships and friendships. So I could talk on it with some authority because I knew the feeling that girl would have been feeling. If I upset that person and I triggered them, unfortunately, it meant that they weren't able to face what I was trying to say, which was, how did you get yourself in that situation? I wasn't blaming that person at all, and I would never do that. Why would I do that when I've got myself in those situations? When I was in therapy, and I did deep therapy, went for 6 months, 1 day a week for 6 months with the same group of 6 people. And there was a girl in our group who was an alcoholic. And for the first part of the therapy, for months, she wasn't drinking. And all of a sudden she came in one day and she announced that she was drinking again and that we should all be on board with that and support her. And we're all a bit concerned. And then one day she came out with this nugget of knowledge and said, my boyfriend wants me to do this. And I suddenly realized the only reason why she was in therapy was because she didn't want to lose her relationship. She actually didn't want to change. She wasn't doing it for herself because she actually couldn't face herself. The next day, I brought that up and I said to her, you're only here to save your relationship. You actually don't want to do this, do you? And none of us believe you that you're okay drinking again. You're not. You're clearly not. And we all love you and we're here for you, but I'm calling bullshit on what you just said, that you're okay. That girl never came back to therapy again the next week or the week after or for months after that. And I felt awful. I cried my eyes out in the chair, in the group, and the whole group consoled me and said, it's not your fault. You just triggered her. And the therapist looked me dead in the eye and he said, Lauren, you didn't say anything wrong. You said what we were all thinking. And she needed to hear that, but she just couldn't hear it. Can you hear what I'm saying? When I trigger you in a video, can you hear me? Or are you triggered by me? There are lots of people in my group who are really triggered by me at first. They disappeared and then they came back and I was on their For You page over and over and over again. And I was saying things they didn't want to hear, like the fact that they had to investigate their life, look at their childhood, figure out where their issues came from and change them. I'm not saying you have to relive your whole childhood. I'm just saying, where did the self-concept, and concept means, just so you guys understand for the 100th time, it just means idea about yourself. I'm not teaching you healing. And anyone who thinks I'm teaching that completely misunderstands both me and Neville Goddard and the word concept. It means idea of yourself. So what are the ideas you have about yourself that cause you to act the way you do and react to your 3D and manifest in your reality what you're manifesting? That's all my account is about. And the cornerstone of all manifestation is you are the only cause. And if you can't accept that, then you're not understanding this. And then you'll be triggered by me because you think I'm blaming you, but it's because you haven't heard me. And you don't want to do what Neville and all other law of assumption mystics have told you to do, which is radically transform yourself. Death to the old man. It's like you have to have a funeral for your old self, for your old thoughts, for your old beliefs, for the old you. Because you can't be the new you with the old thoughts. You can't be the servant of both masters, of two masters. You can't have the old thoughts and the new thoughts going at the same time, because what will happen is you'll get some manifestations, you'll get some things you want, and then the old triggers that are still there in the back of your mind will trigger you, and you'll fuck up the thing you've manifested. And that's why I created this account. Some people might have seen me in Sammy Ingram's group where I was asking questions of Sammy and stuff. Great. Yeah, things work for me that she taught me. Wonderful. And I'm not bitching about Sammy at all, by the way. I think she's a wonderful creator. But there were levels to me that I hadn't dealt with, okay? And what I was taught didn't necessarily work for me because I was still fucking it up. I was still fucking up what I'd learned from other manifestation teachers because my shit back here was still running. And that's what my account's about. So if I teach differently from other people, if I trigger you or I ask you to investigate your childhood shit, it's because what I learned before didn't work. Now, maybe it works for you. Maybe just stepping into the state of the new you and not thinking about your childhood and not actually investigating what your stuff is will work for you. Maybe totally revising your childhood will work for you because you can remember your childhood. I can't remember mine. Most of my childhood that's bad, I blocked out. And the reason that happened is my subconscious mind did that on purpose to protect me. There are whole swathes of my childhood I can't remember. Okay, and compared to most people, my childhood probably wasn't even that bad, but for me, for my mind, it was. So my mind's blocked it out. And when I was in therapy, we used to do these deep meditations and hypnoses, and I would go to my mum and say, did that happen, that thing that I remembered? I think I made that up. She goes, no, that happened. Now, how can I revise a past I can't even remember? But some of you are so reliant on revision. I can't do that. So I have to actually face myself and investigate myself. And that's what my self-concept course is about. There's actually an assessment that investigates you, assesses what your self-concept issues are, and gives you Oh, at the end of the assessment, this is your core shit. This is your core problem. This is the cause of your shitty reality. This is the reason, because a lot of you don't know the reason. A lot of you are in my comments saying you're all healed and cured, and you're all triggered in my comments, bitching at me, moaning at me, angry at me. That doesn't sound healed. And I'm not teaching you to be healed, by the way. But that doesn't sound like you've revised anything. You sound upset still. You sound angry still. Guys, if you can't hear me, then I'm not the account for you. You're like that girl in my therapy. You don't want to hear what I have to say, and that's okay. If you want to treat manifestation like magic, if you don't want to deeply get to the core of your concepts of yourself, then that's okay. My account isn't for you people. You people, I shouldn't say it like that. But my account's for people who the other stuff didn't work, or they know what their core shit is, but they don't know what the real core under that core is. They haven't got to the earth's core of the real problem. And there are things that have come up for me recently. And another manifestation coach, Sasha, who I love dearly, who I highly recommend, by the way, we will sit on WhatsApp and we'll be like, what's this thing that's come up? And we'll be realizing that we've got core shit about ourselves that we're only just realizing now. And we're digging and we're digging and we're digging and we're digging and we're discovering more shit. And we're manifestation coaches. We're not perfect, guys, and I don't expect you guys to be perfect. And we're certainly not blaming you. So please, if you can't hear me, I'm not the account for you. And if I trigger you, if you've had a childhood where someone screamed and yelled, or abuse, or you can't handle the yelling, you've got to understand people ask me to yell. People are like, yell at me, Loz, because I do it for motivation. I do it to get it through your thick skull. I do it so you don't make the mistakes I made. I turned 45 the other day. I fucked up a lot of my life, guys. A lot of it. By not facing myself. I pretended I was fine. I kept secrets. I hid the real me. I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but this is why I started this account. I started it because a lot of the shit I learned didn't work for me because I wasn't facing myself. And if you can't face yourself, really face your shit, I'm not for you. I'm for the people who want to face themselves, who are brave enough to face themselves, who want to radically transform their fucking lives. And if you go to my Facebook group, you will see how many radical transformations there have been. And they're not just SP stories. They're I've changed my whole life stories. Then my self-concept is so great, I don't even want that old SP anymore stories. But there's also been 3 engagements in the last couple of weeks and a marriage to old SPs. But guys, you've got to understand, you've got to radically transform to do this. Radically. Otherwise the old shit comes up later. Trust me. Okay? I hope that clears things up. And I'm not annoyed at anybody or upset at anybody. And I just want you guys to understand, if you are triggered by me, I get it. I do get it. I was triggered by people I didn't want to, that held mirrors up to me when I was younger. And I'm 45. I've got a lot of age on a lot of you guys. And I was ready. One day I was ready. The student was ready. And the teacher appeared. And the teacher was, well, actually me. I was my own teacher. Okay? Some of you don't want to hear me yet. But one day you might. And that's why my account's called Subconscious Loz. It's not called Manifest something. I used to be called Manifest Live with Loz. And then I realized what I was teaching you was radical transformation of yourself. I wasn't teaching you magic. Manifestation isn't magic, guys. It's literally what you made manifest with your old thinking, your old beliefs, the old you. And you have to kill that old you to create the new you. And that's what you are the only cause means. It's not blame. It's not fault. If you guys can really hear me say that, then maybe you'll be able to watch me without being triggered. Okay? And then your life will change, like so many other people in my group. And if you don't believe me, go over to the Facebook group Subconscious Loz and read the stories. They pop up every fucking day. And one day I will start doing them on YouTube, I guess, and reading them out if people let me. All right, guys? I only ever created this account on my TikTok because I care so much about you all. And I don't want you making mistakes I did. Hopefully you can hear that. Okay? And anyone I've upset, including creators, I never meant to. All right?